Hello everyone, Tactical Edge here. In today's battle sent in by Anti-Kaiju, we'll be seeing Khorne taking on the Carmine Dragon's Purple Laser. For the army build here, Anti-Kaiju going for a frontline of Marauders of Khorne and a couple Bloodletters for the frontline, and a couple Minotaurs of Khorne with their great weapons, anti-large armor piercing, supporting their infantry. As for the mobility, a ton of Khorne dogs here, 2 Flesh Hounds of Khorne on this flank, plus a single Chaos Warhounds of Khorne, and on the other side, similar thing going on there, except they are 1 Flesh Hound short, with only 2 dog units over here. As for the aerial mobility, a few units of Chaos Furies of Khorne deployed on the corner of the battlefield, flanking the Empire formation. In the skies, leading the army, Valkia the Bloody with only Spear of Snopnir, no Demon Shield. It would be nice here as the invincibility would be a nice counter against the Purple Laser. But let's see what happens in this battle. For the Empire army here, Gojira controlling the Empire side, a front line of spear and swords, backed up by a couple halberdiers. Some spears are protecting the flank and 1 unit of halberdiers guarding the rear. They are supported by a couple Knights of the Black Rose, a rather defensive cavalry plus a single Demigryph Knight with halberds with their anti-large and armor piercing. For the firepower here, Empire is only going for the Outriders with their repeater handguns, and of course leading the army, Elspeth von Draken on the Carmine Dragon with Spirit Leech, Fate of Buna, and the Death's Timekeeper for all that direct damage, and also Death's Timekeeper provides a little bit of healing. But of course, the biggest threat on the Carmine Dragon is the Coruscating Breath. That's it for the army build, and now let's get the battle started. The Khorne army is rushing forward as they don't really want to spend too much time getting spray and prayed by the repeater handguns of the Outriders. On the far side there, the Khorne Furies are moving into a flanking position. Same goes for all these Chaos Warhounds and Flash Hounds on the flanks, just circling around to the rear part of the box. While at the front line, Outriders are moving into skirmishing range here, Carmine Dragon persuading off the Chaos Warhounds from chasing after the Outriders, while Outriders will be turning around to shoot at the Minotaurs of Khorne. Their AP fire will be decent against the Minotaurs, doing a lot of damage to the Minotaurs, roughly 25% of HP gone, and followed up by a Spirit Leech from Elspeth. The front line of Khorne, though rather unfazed, took some minor damage from the Outrider shots, but the Bloodletters will continue to charge on with their physical resistance, mitigating some of that missile damage. In the skies there, Valkia pushing back Elspeth, trying to force her away from harassing the Khorne front line, while Furies are just at the back there ready to drop down onto the Empire formations. Bloodletters are moving into charging range here, while the rest of the Khorne mobility are waiting for an opening on the Empire formation. Now, Bloodletters are moving into the front line, not exactly charging since they got a movement order, only by a really nice Spear Slopnir from Valkia, nuking the Swordsman in the front line, completely routing them off, while the Bloodletters are now open to just charge into the middle of the box. Demigryph Halberds are charging in, trying to stave off these Bloodletters, but taking some decent counter damage in return from the Bloodletters. Khorne Furies are dive bombing Outriders, so the Knights of the Black Rose are hoping to beat them back with their own anti-infantry bonus. Also, Demigryph Halberds are trying to hold down these Furies and protect the Outriders, but alas, the Outriders have been routed as Valkia herself was involved in the battle, and Bloodletters are rear charging the Demigryph Halberds, and the Outriders plus the Halberdiers now being rear charged by the Chaos Furies. The Knights of the Black Rose are still too busy pushing back the Chaos Warhounds on the other side, but unfortunately a bit of a slip in micro there as the Outriders have been caught by the Warhounds and will be routed. While in the middle at pitched engagement, Minotaurs, the Bloodletters are all charging in, surrounding and beating up the Demigryph Halberds. Demigryphs are rather fragile for a heavy cavalry and are easily overwhelmed by enemy numbers, especially when the numbers have armor piercing as well. The Warhounds and Fleshhounds, no Warhounds actually, just Fleshhounds, are just holding down the Demigryphs, allowing the Minotaurs and the Bloodletters to butcher these expensive Empire cavalry. Knights of the Black Rose are still rather healthy, and they should be able to hold down the enemy mobility, except the Minotaurs of course, but with their solid melee defense and heavy armor, they will trade against Fleshhounds fine for now, except when they're overload of course. The Spears and more Knights of the Black Rose are trying to hold at the center of the Empire formation, and a Coruscating Breath Yeah, coruscating blast from the Carmine Dragon, lasering a bunch of Minotaurs, but not doing exactly the best damage since the laser beam is only good against single entities. Fate of Yuna on the Bloodletters, trying to nuke the health of the Bloodletters, just hoping to eliminate these Khorne demons so the Empire State troops can stand in the front line for a little bit longer. But alas, Khorne demons do have 25% spell resistance to mitigate some of the Yuna damage. Another spear Slopnir damaging some halberds, allowing the Marauders of Khorne to keep fighting against the halberdiers, while the Knights of the Black Rose have taken quite a bit of attrition damage over the course of battle from fighting hounds and the Minotaurs. Now they are charging in, trying to support Elspeth and perhaps trying to surround and beat down Valkyria with their anti-infantry bonus as well, but here comes the Minotaurs raising their great axes and hacking down some of these elite Empire cavalry, forcing them to back off for now, while the spears are pretty much left to their own devices. Chaos Warhounds here, being caught by the Demogryph Knight and Swordsman, and Elspeth herself will be quickly routed off, while the Khorne army is getting a good trade pretty much everywhere else on the battlefield here. Despite the minor win for Empire on this side, now Minotaurs charging into Demogryphs, absolutely wrecking them on the charge impact, while the Knights of Black Rose are charging back in. Spirit Leech onto one of the Minotaur unit. The Horn of Khorne is boosting their melee prowess. Their damage is definitely more significant against the Knights of Black Rose, which is why Elspeth is diving down, really wanting to eliminate these great weapon Minotaurs, but a really timely, relentless rage tier 2 Khorne army ability, keeping the Minotaurs in the fight, preventing them from breaking or dying. All 7 surviving Khorne Bulls continue to fight on and doing some really good damage against Elspeth, who is now stuck in melee against all these angry cows. Chaos Warhounds over here will chase off the routed Demogryph Knights, and the Knights of the Black Rose no longer hold as well. That means Elspeth only has state troops to rely on for the rest of the battle. All of them very much tattered and not gonna do well against all these Bloodletters of Khorne. Now Valkyria the Bloody decided to go after Elspeth, really trying to go for that Lord Snipe, as she is kind of living on a timer, being heavily targeted by Spirit Leeches, her health slowly getting drained despite her Khorne spell resistance. Elspeth, knowing that she can't duel Valkyria one-on-one, decided to retreat back to some recently regrouped halberdiers who just so happens to be nearby. But the rest of the state troops are not close enough to help out Elspeth and are being slowly killed by the Khorne army, as Khorne are simply better melee fighters. Now Valkyria is struggling to do damage against Elspeth, as Elspeth removes her magic attacks. The same ability, the Living Darkness passive, also grants Elspeth 10% physical resistance to mitigate the incoming now physical damage. This constant physical resistance can further stack with the Dark Worker active to get a total of 50% physical resistance for Elspeth. And this is exactly what Elspeth is doing right now, so that she can survive better when the Minotaurs of Khorne with great weapons countercharges in. Halberdiers though get chewed up by Chaos Warhounds and Fleshhounds, and on the far side, Swordsmen are falling as well. There are some Minotaurs very tattered, though the Relentless Rage did help them get some pretty good value in the end there, and they have been fighting very effectively throughout the course of battle. Valkyria now on the last bit of her HP, but here comes a coruscating blast, completely killing the Khorne Lord. That shatters the Minotaurs on the far side, and a few more tattered Khorne units are fading away from the battlefield or straight up routing, but the healthy ones are still doing just fine. Minotaurs of Khorne still above half leadership, and that means the Frenzy is active to get them a bit more weapon damage and melee attack stats. Charge bonus also comes in quite handy when they slam into the Empire formations, but right now the Carmine Dragon is chewing up the last bit of the Bloodletters alongside the Halberdiers, helping out. Now another Spirit Leech onto Minotaurs of Khorne here, draining some HP away, but their 15% spell resistance will help out in this scenario, mitigating some of the incoming damage. Carmine Dragon charging into the Khorne Bulls. This is a risky move from Elspeth, as she is now surrounded by anti-large armor-piercing units. Fleshhounds are charging in, and another Horn of Khorne boosting the melee attack of all these Khorne troops in the vicinity. State troops are trying to hold and defend their lord, but they're just too tattered, and Khorne are slaughtering them in droves. And Elspeth is quickly being cut down by the Minotaurs. The Minotaurs are holding, they lost their frenzy, but with that 24 extra melee attack, they are really doing some good work against the Halberdiers, and of course Elspeth and her Carmine Dragon. Bloodletters clean up the rest of the state troops nearby without any issue, and that is army losses. Khorne's fury and rage once again brings victory to his minions. GG to both players, and Khorne in this scenario managed to just rush down the Empire defenses with their Khorne Bulls and Bloodletters, while the Empire not having really that kind of missile power to deal with the Minotaurs, since the Outriders were caught out by the Chaos Furies and got eliminated early in the game. The rest of the state troops cannot carry this game. Mostly the damage were dealt by the Carmine Dragon and Elspeth with her Spirit Leech and Fate of Buna. But Anti-Kaiju just has some really good uses of the Khorne army abilities, those Horn of Khorne spams, allowing the Khorne troops to trade even better into the Empire melee troops and the well-timed Relentless Rage, keeping that one unit of Minotaurs in the fight continue dishing out damage against Elspeth and the Empire Cavalry. With Elspeth and the Cavalry Corps not doing enough damage against the Khorne army, the state troops simply can't win against the Khorne melee power, and at the end, Anti-Kaiju managed to secure the victory. And yeah, that's it for today's battle. I hope you all enjoyed the action. Massive thanks to Anti-Kaiju for sending in the replay. And yeah, if you want to see more Total Warhammer multiplayer action, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Tactical Lich signing out.